everybody, and welcome on in. Pull up a stool. We are back. Now, I want to welcome in properly all the CU aunties. I want to welcome in the new Clevelanders. I know we were a little hectic yesterday. Didn't get my greeting until later on, but we're here now. And we're going to give you guys all your proper flowers, so to speak. And at the same time, we're not going to waste your time. We're going to jump right on into it. And let's recap what happened yesterday. Because we all know what happened yesterday was a little unexpected. Now, the Browns traded Myles Garrett. What they got from Myles? My screen decided to go a little wonky there. But we're still here. But what the Browns ended up getting from Myles Garrett was a nice little haul, and we've learned more since then. We know that the situation was a little bit, okay. We know that the situation was a little more irritable than we would have liked when it came to what we got. So, what we got some pretty good players here. We got pretty good compensation. Now, I don't want anybody to think that this is me saying that any of these guys is ever going to be Myles Garrett. Myles Garrett is one of a kind. Okay? Myles is going to be on our hearts as Browns fans for as long as we're on this earth. Probably the greatest defensive end to ever live. So we're not going to take anything away from Myles Garrett. Let me be very clear about that. But the Cleveland Browns in this trade, obviously, Los Angeles Rams got Myles Garrett. The Browns got outside linebacker, pass rusher. He will play on the line as pass rush D end in the wide nine here for the Browns. They got 2027 first round pick. They got 2028 second round pick and a 2029 third round pick. So they got a nice haul. But what made this deal for the Browns, from my understanding, because I said yesterday in my analysis breakdown that the Rams were nitpicking. They were like little gnats. They just kept picking up the phone and picking up the phone and picking up the phone. But here's the deal. They wanted all this for Myles to be all draft capital. And this is coming from, I'm going to give credit to Adam the Bull. I was tuned in this morning. He came up with this little nugget from the Rams beat reporters. And he said that the Rams did not want to get rid of Verse. They were trying to keep Verse at all costs, and the Browns would not budge without Verse. So Verse was an integral piece to this puzzle that the Browns were trying to weave here, because they did not want to get rid of Garrett, despite what a lot of the beat reporters were saying about how Barry was lying about wanting to keep Myles. The Rams wore him down. The Rams were quite persistent in their pursuit. So we're going to give the Rams front office a lot of credit. But we're going to give Barry a lot of credit for sticking to his guns, because the Rams, from what I understand, wanted to include a 2028 first-round pick and no players. So we're going to give Andrew Barry a lot of credit for sticking to his guns here. But one thing we got to know is who we're getting. So who are we getting? Who is Jared Verse? Now, from everything I know and have been finding out, Jared Verse was born in Canton, Ohio. He was raised in North Carolina during his life. He went to Florida State University in college. He's 6'4", 265 pounds, and he is a two-time Pro Bowler and 2024 Defensive Player of the Year. But what I found odd about it, outside of what you can see here on your screen, was a little nugget we were able to draw up that's been going around. So looking at my little notes here, since 2024, Jared Verse's rookie year, Myles Garrett leads the league in pressures with 167. Josh Hines-Allen in Jacksonville is second with 158. You know who third is? You guessed it. Jared Verse, 157, one behind Josh Hines. And last year, when it came to pressures, Myles Garrett had 84. Verse had 80. So, in no uncertain terms am I ever going to say Jared versus Myles Garrett. Not even close. But what I am going to say is, guys, the sky is not falling. Okay? I know that's kind of what some Browns fans are saying. The sky is not falling. Calm down. Take a deep breath. It's okay. You know, this is courtesy of ESPN, as you can see. He had the same amount of forced fumbles as Myles last year. The sky's not falling. Calm down. Getting a nice young player. Guy's 6 years younger than Myles. He's got 3 years of control left. The Browns gained $4 million in cap space, which really doesn't seem like a lot, but over the long haul, it will. Okay? Because remember, this podcast is about where the Browns are going, not where they've been. So we're going to have to look at where they're going here. And I think Verse, 19th pick overall in the 2024 draft, is a very nice piece to the puzzle. So we're not going to sit here and pretend that Jared Verse is terrible. We're not going to pretend anything about Jared Verse. We're just going to go ahead and we're going to look at Jared Verse for who he is. He's an explosive pass rusher, and he does things that a lot of people in the NFL don't do. He can't do what Myles Garrett did, but he can do a lot of things that other people can't do. So let's start looking, because Jared Verse is our future, whether we want to admit it or not. We can thank Myles. Myles will be in our hearts. But Jared Verse is our future, and we got to look at it for what it is. Now, that being said, we're going to come over here right now, and we're going to try to figure out who was responsible for this madhouse of a show that we're looking at here. And we got to see who's still here. No, Jimmy Haslam's the owner. He's still here, and he's publicly said that he was responsible for the Watson trade. And every financial move the Browns have made the last 4 years has been so they're not in cap hell. Andrew Berry's still here. Jimmy Haslam's come out and said, yeah, Berry being able to draft is the only reason he still has a job. Well, looked like he drafted pretty well again this year. That's 2 years in a row. Who's not here? DePodesta and his right-hand man, Mr. Kevin Stefanski. I've been saying for years, I didn't believe Stefanski should have a job, but I didn't say it because I knew there was one thing that I did say. As long as DePodesta was around, Stefanski would have a job. And I knew it, so there wasn't any point in talking about it. He was the original DePodesta guy. As soon as DePodesta's out the door, at the end of the season, Stefanski was out the door. So, who is responsible for this mess? I think it's a little bit of everybody. I think Stefanski and DePodesta were big on Watson. I think Berry trusted his guys, and he spearheaded it. He backed off. Haslam was so far in that he wouldn't let him back off. And what that's created has been the effect that if they didn't end up getting rid of Miles at some point, they weren't going to be able to pay everybody. They weren't going to be able to field a team because they had that contract, guaranteed money, sitting on their chest. So, who is ultimately responsible? I don't think we're ever going to know that. But I think the writing's on the wall. Who didn't get the job done? Who ended up getting fired? DePodesta didn't technically get fired, but I think he knew before the 2025 draft that he didn't have any power. And that's why he left. He was just sitting in an office somewhere in LA, getting paid for doing nothing. Andrew Berry had the reins at that point. So while we may never know who is responsible for all this debacle, we know Berry was the one who didn't hire Jim, and that may have been the straw that broke the camel's back. But Miles is a big camel. And if he's a big camel, his back ain't broken easily. So what else is going on behind the scenes? Somebody said it was his girlfriend, lives in LA. That's why he signed off on the no trade clause. Maybe. He's always said he wanted to play in the Super Bowl. Well, the Rams are probably the favorites now to go to the Super Bowl. So, that being said, when you're looking at it for what it is, I think it was just a bridge that had been burned down, and somebody put some wooden slats and a couple support beams on it and tied some rope in there to try to keep it together for another year or two. Maybe until Miles ended up retiring. They were doing patch jobs. It was all a patch job. So, who's responsible? All I can say is look at who's not here anymore and see who's cleaning up the mess. And then you got to look at the owner and say, buck stops with him. That's the one guy who got fired that might have been responsible. The other two guys are gone, and Berry's sitting there. Well, did Berry spearhead the Deshaun Watson contract? No. Did he spearhead going after Deshaun Watson? Yes. But was he driving the bus? That we may never know. But Jimmy Haslam has said it is his responsibility. He made the call. Owners don't admit making bad calls. So in that situation, I'm going to believe Mr. Haslam. And that being said, we've talked about Jared Verse. We've recapped the trade. We looked about why the trade happened. And I think everybody will look at it and say, yeah, that's probably that Deshaun Watson contract. Couldn't afford to keep paying him. And then with a couple more moves that happened, it's probably no salvaging it. So where do we go from here? And I mean, this is the big question. Because Todd Monken kept the defensive staff. He kept the defensive staff, and he kept everybody who mattered and gave people raises. He promoted some people. Probably going to end up being defense coordinators in the next 2-3 years. Kept the same base defense. Wide 9. But he got rid of the face of the franchise. Now, that's not just Mr. Monken, but that's also Mr. Berry. He got rid of the face of the franchise. And you know, with a trade like that, it has to be signed off on by ownership. That means Mr. Haslam had to sign off on it. And then obviously Miles had a no trade clause, so he had to sign off on it. So everybody had to sign off on this. And that tells me the Browns are going in a more offensive direction. They made sure they got Jared Verse. They made sure their defense is probably going to stay a top 10 defense. They made sure of that. Is it going to be what it was with Miles? Heck no. Not even close. Can't get rid of the top defensive player in the last probably 25 years and then be like, oh, golly gee willikers, we're still going to be top 3 defense. We're not going to. No, that's not how it works. But can they be top 10? Absolutely. I still think they're going to be a top 10 defense. But this signals to me that the Browns are going to be an offensive team this year. And that means you need a new face of the franchise. And that being said, I think I know who the face of the franchise should be. Look, Shedeur Sanders, I don't know why he's such a controversial figure. The only thing he does is go out, play football, study football, make his music, which I've listened to. It's, he's got some good beats. Needs to work on his lyrics a little bit. So, he's got his stuff. He's got everything he's working on. But he's mainly football. He's already been out in the community. He's helping everybody in the community. He's the one who's been the forward-facing player over the last year and a half or so. Since even before he was the face, he was showing up and knew what a franchise quarterback would do, acting the part of the franchise quarterback. People who were getting drafted and coming in here said, we want to catch passes from Shedeur Sanders. We want to block for Shedeur Sanders. Why are these guys saying that? Because Shedeur Sanders is the guy who's motivating them. He's the one that's leading them. And he's the one in OTAs, whether people want to admit it or not, you get to see all these nice touchdown passes from Deshaun Watson. Believe me, Deshaun's played really, really well. But you've also got these little reports coming out here from people that get, snuffed out real quick about Deshaun making a beautiful pass, then missing wildly. And Shedeur just plugging along. He's missed on a couple throws I've seen, so I'm not going to lie to you there. He's missed a couple. But overall, he's looked the part of a franchise guy. He's the guy you need to make your franchise guy. Now, before last year, after the draft in 2025, I once called, multiple times, I called the combination of Fannin, Sanders, and Judkins the Tamil Kings. Updated version of the Tamil Kings. Who were the Tamil Kings? Go down to South Africa about 3,000 years ago. You know those war on spices that always happened? Down at the very tip, right down at the bottom, all the way down there are 3 areas, 3 tribal areas. They held almost all the spice. And they were always warring with each other. They were called the Tamil Kings. They were always fighting each other. But if anybody tried to come in there and take their spice, they'd come together. No, you get out of here. They were traitors. But they were always fighting each other. They were the best traders in the world. Top guys. But then over the years, more of those little trading kingdoms started popping up. And now, we've got ourselves a few traders popping up here. Denzel Boston, I'm sorry. We're not going down that road. KC Concepcion and Isaiah Bond. Now, people are saying, well, why are you putting Bond in there? Anybody who has watched OTAs and the camp beforehand, they've seen Bond show off some head fakes, double moves, and really things that we didn't see from him last year. And as these OTAs have been going on, he's been showing a lot more. He's been getting steps, showing precise routes. He has been really moving. And he's really been catching the eye of some people. And Denzel Boston, he's caught the eye of so many people. He just moved his way up the Vegas charts and is now one of the leaders for Offensive Rookie of the Year. Now, I don't know how long that'll hold, but that shows that he's catching the eyes. KC Concepcion has done a very good job of showing his athleticism and his speed. I've seen multiple times when Sanders and Watson both have struggled to try to figure out what's going on with KC Concepcion. It's like I've seen Shedeur throw the ball behind him. I've seen Watson try to compensate and overthrow him multiple times. A couple times, KC's athleticism, he's caught the ball. Other times, he hasn't. So that's work that they're going to have to do. But you're looking at these trading kingdoms that ended up growing and sending spice all over the world, or the known world at the time, which was basically Europe and Asia. Right now, look what we're seeing. These guys are the spice of life. That's the new culture in Cleveland. That's the new culture we're looking at. We're going to get the spice of life. And we're going to like it. And it's going to have to start with Shedeur. So we're going to have to move away from expecting the defense to do everything and just expect the defense to do its job. Because Miles ain't here anymore. Miles ain't going to spoil you. Now you're going to have to start really putting your best foot forward. And it's the offense's time to shine. The youth movement starts now. Those guys I just mentioned, Quinshon Judkins, Harold Fanning, Shedeur Sanders, Casey Concepcion, Isaiah Bond, Denzel Boston. That right there. That. If you add Spencer Fano at left tackle, that's your core. And you might even get a center out of this to play for the next 10 years. Now you have a choice to make. Are you going to embrace Todd Monken's new thought process of we're going to get there, we're going to go high octane, we're going to get the ball to these guys, we're going to watch these guys rock and roll, and we're going to be that team that says, oh, guess what? We're going to run it down your throat, we're going to throw it down your throat, and we're going to be disciplined. We're not going to get a lot of penalties because if we do, I'm going to take you out. I'm going to get you, and we're going to put somebody else in there. It's going to be more accountable. It's the offense's time, guys. Got one of the best offensive line coaches in the NFL. Got one of the better quarterbacks coaches. A good young offensive coordinator. And you got a guy leading them that's an old school ball coach who just wants to teach people and put a boot in their ass when needed. First time the Browns have had that in a long time, hadn't they? First time in a long time the Browns have had that. And we can tell. See, I am all in on what's going on. I might not always seem like it, because I'm always trying to be positive. But I am all in on this team, especially right now. I think I would have been more in it if they would have kept Miles, obviously. But at the same time, it's like I said, I don't think it's going to matter as much this year because they have, according to last year's records, they had the fourth easiest strength of schedule in the league. So I don't think it's going to hurt them this year. And I think that may have been why this might have been the perfect time to trade Miles, because they got time to keep getting better, to keep integrating these guys. They got 1 year. 1 year to turn this young group of up-and-coming, I think, stars into a well-oiled machine. And I don't think 10 wins is out of the realm of possibility this year. But then, too, if these guys don't develop, and Todd Monken has said, this job is all about development. Well, that means if they only get 5-6 wins, they only get 7 wins, that means he didn't do a whole lot of developing, did he? I don't think that's going to happen. And I think it's the offense's time to shine. I think this offense is going to take off. I think if this defense gives up 18, 20 points a game, I think this team is going to end up winning 8 to 10 games. Because I think that offense is going to be that far improved from last year. So I am incredibly high on this, and I hope all you Browns fans out there, I hope all of you are too. Because right now, That is what we're going at. We are that group. So, that being said, it is got that time again, boys and girls. So, for any CUIs that decided to tune in, for any of the new Clevelanders, for anybody who just wanted to sit down, just take a load off for this one little time, this one little bit, this one little half-hour show, I'm going to say this. I want you to hit that ding, secure your place at the bar, because we're going to look at it. And remember, this shot, it was on us. Go Browns.